What's happening?
Get ready for us. We're going live.
Bruh.
Fellas,
It's the Gents of the 3.5.
Cheers,
Wanna know the deal. What's going on?
Look at that, man.
what's up?
It's the Gents of the 3.5. To be a fly on the wall. At the barbershop or gym in the bathroom stall. When he's on his way from hanging out or work.
Hello.
At the end of the day, do you ever just want to get into a huddle to listen, rebuttal, or just plain understand what's happening in the cave of a man? Yeah.
Speak on it.
Of course.
3.5. Yeah.
All right.
Channel, you already know that Sha'Carri Richardson came in dead last, 9th place at the Prefontaine Classic in Oregon in the 100 meters. And you know that Sha'Carri Richardson came in 4th place Friday in Brussels in the 200 meters in a race where it looks like they grabbed a few of the local residents and added them to the field to make Sha'Carri look even better. But now Nike and Sha'Carri Richardson are in absolute all-out crisis mode. Sha'Carri was put into a lesser-known race quietly on Sunday in Italy, and she was put into this race against considerably slower competition. This was a race with only the slowest member from the Jamaican track and field team, Brianna Williams, and I am under the opinion, it is my belief that this was set up to specifically be a confidence booster for Sha'Carri Richardson. This was supposed to become a viral moment. We were supposed to see Sha'Carri Richardson beat the competition handily, yet Sha'Carri showed yet again that she lacks top-level speed. She is not who she says she is on social media. Sha'Carri Richardson is starting to look like a downright fraud.
It was called the Red Summer of 1919. Named for the blood that ran through America's cities during months of racial unrest. African-American soldiers had returned home from the Great War, World War I, to a country still teeming with discrimination. Deadly race riots broke out in over 24 cities, but one rural town, Elaine, Arkansas, would become the epicenter for the bloodshed. The violence there, lynch mobs, torture, indiscriminate murder, was so horrific it would go down in history not as a race riot, but as the Elaine Massacre. During World War I, more than 350,000 African-American soldiers enlisted to serve. But while they fought for democracy abroad, their own country, America, was still not willing to see them as equal. Tensions reached a boiling point in the summer of 1919. Race riots broke out in dozens of cities across the country. But in the rural South, something even more menacing was taking form. There, slavery existed in all but name, in a system called sharecropping. For roughly 50 years, the system went unchecked. In the fall of 1918, a black man from Arkansas had had enough. Robert Hill had decided to form a union to represent sharecroppers. It was a dangerous decision, and one that would set off a chain of events involving mass murder, torture, and a landmark Supreme Court ruling. But first, he would need to organize. On the night of September 30th, 1919, union members gathered in Elaine to discuss their legal plan. Though it remains unclear who fired first, a barrage of gunfire broke out. One of the white men was killed almost instantly. The rumor of a black uprising spread in a matter of hours. The idea of a sharecropper rebellion conveniently played into the hands of landowners who did not want their sharecropping practices scrutinized. They did all they could, as quickly as they could, to sound alarms that black farmers were out for white blood. The sharecroppers quickly formed self-defense groups, expecting repercussions over the death of a white man. But they could not have predicted just how severe the response would be. The following morning, under the watchful eye of Sheriff Frank Kitchens and his deputies, posses of white men were sent to find, detain, and kill the offenders. Although the exact number will never be known, a recent estimate suggests 237 black men, women, and children were killed. There was an immediate demand for justice, but not for the black lives lost. 5 white men were also killed in the fighting. Hundreds of African Americans were rounded up and put in jail, and when the jail was full, they detained the rest in a schoolhouse. Robert Hill escaped to Kansas, but his peers back in Arkansas were not as lucky. 122 indictments were issued, and trials quickly started. When among the 87 black citizens charged with crimes, 12 were sentenced to death by electric chair. Despite the system being blatantly rigged against them, the convicted men had one unlikely beacon of hope: the American justice system. For 4 years, the team faced a series of legal setbacks and advances until in 1923, the case made its way to the Supreme Court in what is now known as Moore versus Dempsey. There, the defense argued that the original trials had been mob-dominated and the black prisoners had been denied their constitutional rights. In a landmark decision, the court agreed. The 12, subjected to torture, injustice, and litigation travesty, were at long last exonerated and released in January 1925. They might have escaped with their lives, but there was nothing that could reverse the pain and devastation felt by the black community in Phillips County.
When it comes to these things, it's not even dependent on him. He can say, I want this, but if Congress says we're not doing it, it's not happening.
Yeah, you're at hold. You're on standby.
Like, yeah, if they say we're not approving this to be done. That's one thing I've learned when I looked at how the entire system works. It's like the president can want as much as he wants to want, but if Congress and the Senate says we're not approving this,
I mean, that's why they gave Obama so much flack, and it was like, listen, you can't just make these miracles happen like you guys think he can just because he can speak it.
He can put it to the House, but if the House says we don't want it, then they want it. So that's one thing I was watching the other day. One guy was rapping about everybody thinks that the president can do everything. No, it's not. It's the judiciary. Those are the guys who make the laws. Those are guys that help with the bills. They help get things done. The president is the guy that just signs it. That's it.
Right.
So he can say this is gonna happen, but if the Congress says no, it's not. It's not.
Right. Then yep.
Because what happens here is like everything is pen and paper, and that's one thing we've been trying to tell the government. Like, dude, there's computers around. Use them. Like, if you go to court, like I was a juror on the court, and I was telling someone that tonight. And like, you know that in the court, there's always like someone who's typing the conversations.
Right,
you know.
A stenographer, right?
Right, a stenographer, right? We don't have that here. That at all.
You have someone just writing stuff?
No, the judge is writing everything while he's speaking. So he's speaking, and he's like, let it be known that I was...
No, I don't believe that.
Let it be known.
I don't believe
I'm serious.
that.
Like, I was just like, is this shit serious? Like, the lawyer says something, and he's like, pause a second. Yes, continue.
Wow.
And
That's
I'm
crazy.
I'm like, like people living in St Lucia, they wouldn't know any better. But me having been everywhere else around the world, seeing how things work, I know what it's supposed to be like. And it's just like, why are we still in this backward system? Like, why?
You know what that means? Jardé for St Lucia Prez.
Yeah.
Jardé, who's your running mate? Jardé, who's your running mate? Who's your VP?
Man, I don't even know. For these things, I've given up. When it comes to politics, here in St Lucia, it's like pointless.
Pointless.
Because what happens, and it's similar to Americans where one just blames the other instead of doing what needs to be done.
You know what?
And that's always.
That used to never be the case, man.
Yeah. I mean, democracy was built based upon choice, right. Giving the people the right to choose who they want to lead them. That's what it was made for. Taxes, all of those things were made for, to keep things fair for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But what happened is that greed took over because taxes were created to tax the rich, to keep the rich from getting too rich and keep the poor rising or keep them coming up. But now it's just a whole greed thing where all the rich, the higher classes are getting so many tax breaks, and everybody at the bottom just keep on getting taxed heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. So now it's just crazy, man. So
Damn.
crazy. So crazy. We have a government like you can't tell which is which. Like this one does something wrong, they blame the other guy. They get into power and they do the exact same thing that the previous guy was doing. And they say, oh, it's not my fault, it's the other guy. But when the other guy comes back in, he does the same shit. And it's just like, but if both of you doing the same shit, who's wrong?
Right.
All of them.
So
Shit, blame it on the sun.
blame it on the sun, blame it on the rain, blame it on the boogie.
Blame it on the Hold on, who sang that? Oh, it's Michael Jackson.
Michael, man. Michael. Yeah.
Blame it on the big ass.
Blame it on the boogie, man. That's blame it on the boogie, man. Yeah.
How's that Guinness going over there? Oh, it's all gone.
How was that Guinness? That's what you gotta say. How was the Guinness?
How was it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, bro.
Good. It was like, you know what the thing is with Guinness, like you don't need to bound yourself after like 4 or 5 of them. You can have one Guinness and be like completely satisfied.
Yeah.
I like the ones in the can a lot better than I do the bottle.
Me too. I have to drink.
Yeah. The tap Guinness is, because the one in the can is draft, but it's closer to the tap Guinness.
Yeah, it is. You're correct. You're correct.
Yeah, because we brew on Guinness here, but our Guinness we do it with a lot of molasses, which is very bitter.
Oh,
But
isn't there something in the can, George?
Yeah, pink.
The ball.
Yeah. What does that do? Preserve it?
Yes.
It gives it the what is it?
Right. So you know how beers get flat after a while?
Yeah, because the nitro.
I don't know how this guy figured this shit out, but it keeps a Guinness fresh to the point where you see when you open it and you pour the nice foam that comes up at the top that looks like a tap.
Yeah.
It preserves that, so it always looks like it's fresh from a tap, even if it's from a can that's been there for.
It's unbelievable.
It's ingenuity at its best. Only Guinness has that. Only Guinness.
Has anyone ever gone to the
factory?
Yeah.
To the factory.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
I've
man.
been to the factory.
I went once.
To the
Yeah.
factory. As soon as I got to Dublin, I was like, Guinness factory. Guinness factory. I went there. I got certified as a Guinness pourer kind of thing.
Yeah.
Pour halfway, leave it alone.
Let alone have a nice little conversation.
But that's when I found out the hard way, like through a factory there. I went to the factory in Amsterdam too with Amstel Light, or Amstel rather, or Heineken. I went there. But I mean, I went to the one in Amsterdam for Heineken, but that's when I realized that the beer tastes different in different places.
Oh, yeah. Especially in Ireland. First of all, the Guinness is not cold. It's not cold like it is in America.
Yeah,
But we're cold freaks. We love air conditioning. We love ice.
It's supposed to be slightly chill.
Right.
But just you're supposed to drink it like when I have a Guinness, you're supposed to feel refreshed.
Yeah.
Like I would drink a Guinness like if I'm really thirsty. A Guinness will last me like 5 to 10 seconds. I'll just drink it because it's so good.
Yeah, I like colder stuff when I'm drinking, like especially if it's. I don't like hot beer.
No, I mean it's not like we're not talking like it's hot beer, but it's like a Guinness normally is like it's like literally like a room temperature. Doesn't mean like there's no foam to it. There's no like freshness to it. It's just that's.
But do you put yours in the fridge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do. I like it. I like it cold. I'm saying we're talking about like other countries and stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Like when I was like bar hopping all over,
the world.
The goal was no, just bar hopping in Ireland. So I went on a trip with 5 nurses, 4 nurses, all my wife's friends, girlfriends.
You should have led with that because when you lead it with the other way, then we're thinking like, oh,
nurses, you're like,
yeah. So it's funny because like obviously they're nurses, so they know how to take care of you. So the deal was, this is when we were 25. We only drink 2 things on the trip, 10 days, water and Guinness. That's it. That's the only. If you're gonna drink anything else, the only other things you drink are shots of either Jameson or Jack.
Jameson or what? What was the other one?
Or Jack.
Oh, okay.
Jack Daniels.
So it sort of changed because like when we also discovered when we were in Ireland There's obviously the Protestant drinks, and there's the Catholic drinks. So everything is Protestant and Catholic there, right? So it's like there's a Guinness draft, and then there's the Protestant equivalent. I forgot what the name of it was, Murphy's or something like
Murphy's.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then
Murphy's is really good.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then they have like Jameson, and then they have like the Protestant version of it, which I forgot what it was called. And I remember drinking it. I was like, oh my god, we have to break the rule because like this is really good, like really good whiskey. So at the end of that trip, I hopped on a scale just for like shits and giggles, and I gained 16 pounds on my trip because I was just drinking beer.
If you're drinking 24/7
beer, I was just drinking beer for 10 days straight, dude. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it was all water weight. You just drank all the water at the end of the, in 2 weeks, and like half the weight, like 3/4 of the weight was gone. But still, like, man, I had trouble getting that last 5 pounds off of that trip. It took me like 2 or 3 months to like get that last 5 pounds off, man. It would not leave my system.
What kind of food did you eat while you were there? Mashed potatoes
everything's fried there, dude. Like the food's. I mean, look. Sorry if anyone's gonna hear this podcast and get offended. I'm saying it. Ireland, as amazing as it is not known for its food. It's like pub. It's like pub grub. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like stew, burgers, fish and chips. It's like everything.
Bangers and mash.
Bangers and mash. Yeah, it's like all things that are just like, potatoes, like French fries. It's like everything is just like.
Yeah, that's
bar
what it
food.
is. That's the bar foods everywhere.
Pot pie, right? Pot
pie
pie is a big thing.
In there, or is that Scotland? Which one is it that has the that pudding that
figgy pudding? Not a figgy pudding.
Which one?
Is it like it's some kind of dark pudding, isn't it?
Yes, but what's the name of it?
It's like maybe it's called black pudding. It's like an acquired taste.
What's in it? What's in it? I can tell you.
Oh, that I don't know. I just know that I've heard about it, and they said it's not for everybody. It's like not crud. That's not what I want to say.
If it's an acquired taste, I would say it's probably black pudding.
Black pudding? Maybe that's what it is.
I thought it's called white. I'm seeing. I put Irish pudding, and the thing that pulled up was white pudding.
Pudding.
But it looks black, so I'm confused.
I don't know. It could be black pudding.
Black pudding, but black pudding is popping up.
We're in Bury, Lancashire, England, and we're about to visit a black pudding company. Black pudding is that one item in an English breakfast plate that you either love or hate. Why? Because it has blood in it.
Yeah, black pudding is like pig's blood.
Irish bread.
Does it taste like blood?
Pig's blood mixed with the intestines.
Oh yeah, whatever it is, it's some kind of blood from something. Pig's blood. That's right.
That's
Come on.
We do that there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what. So that's Irish, or is that Irish or Scotland?
It's probably from Irish or Scotland. I don't know which one, but we do that here.
I thought it'd be English.
I hate it. It's like pig's blood, and they wrap it up in the intestines. I watched one guy do it. So he takes the intestines and he just like.
Here we go, guys. Here we go. Black pudding, also known as blood pudding, is a distinct regional type of blood sausage originating in the UK and Ireland.
Ireland. So yeah, it is Ireland.
It's made from pork blood with pork fat or beef sweat.
Oats and barley or something like that, right?
And cereal, usually oatmeal, oat groats, or barley groats. Or barley groats. Sorry, that sounds fucking disgusting.
And I think some people eat it cold and some people eat it hot. I'm like, if I had to have any of that, it has to be hot.
So
I'll be 100 with you guys. I feel like I just shit my brains out. Just reading that.
Yeah. So I would tell you, if you come here for like Christmas, you get black pudding everywhere. Everywhere. So I have one friend, he literally, that's his statement. The only part of a pig he doesn't eat is the rope.
Is the who?
The rope.
The rope. Is that the intestines?
The rope that ties the pig. That's the only part of the pig.
The rope that ties the pig. I'm thinking you talking about an actual body, the pig's body part.
Everything from the snout all the way down to the tail.
And the funny thing, a pig will eat anything though.
Everything.
That's the funny thing.
Everything. Roadkill, everything.
It'll eat it'll eat you.
Exactly.
If you lay there long enough.
Like what my grandfather did, well, before he died. So he used to buy a pig when he was really young in January. So throughout the entire year, he feeds the pig himself.
Gets them all fat.
Gets it fat. And December, like around December 22nd, 23rd, kill it. Yeah, that's why I tell people, unless you know who's cooking this thing for you, yeah, don't. Like
it was always my grandmother mostly.
Exactly. So it's yeah, that's a tradition here anyways. Buy your pig, grow it throughout the year. When you're ready for Christmas, kill it, eat it, everything. Just nothing left.
That's why they say Christmas just ain't Christmas without the one you love.
I'm telling you. Yeah, man.
Guys, I'm gonna like throw up my Guinness that I just had.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. I mean, if everybody understood the meats that they ate, where it came from, then they would understand.
Yeah, like hot dogs. I don't want to understand it.
Don't eat hot dogs.
Don't eat hot dogs, bro.
Don't eat it.
Although they're made of meat, sausages and hot dogs are low in protein, which is a nutrient you definitely want to be getting out of your meat products whenever you eat them. Despite this, they're super high in sodium, which means you're filling up your daily value without really reaping the benefits of eating unprocessed meat. Most hot dogs are made from scraps of meat that have been blended together, so you can never be sure what part of the animal you're actually eating. This blend of discarded scraps is known as pink slime in the meat industry.
Come to pass, now they calling me Prophet Lord. Special how I touch the people when I'm speaking. So precious like a moment of watching a baby sleeping. Infectious like opponents that's always catching a beating. From the journeys that I travel and missions I be completing. Put the mic down and leave it with mama for safekeeping.
The Gents of 3.5.
Well, all right.